The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Crime News Talk.
Hey everybody, welcome to Canary Cry News Talk. It is episode 144. It's June 19th, 2019. Zuck Bucks and Libra. My name is Gonz. Basil is traveling time and space. So we have a special guest co-host, Sean from SGT Report. Sean, how you doing, buddy?
Hey man, I'm good. Thanks for having me on. It's great to be here.
Yeah, I was emailing back and forth with you beforehand, and I was telling you, hey, we're going to keep things lighthearted, and you were kind of like, yeah, lighthearted.
Tough to do sometimes if you want to cover the real news. But I like your direction today, the Libra coin, global coin. Of course, in our final hour as the economic, financial system globally begins to show signs of collapse, Zuckerberg to the rescue, right?
Yeah, I think they're definitely propping him up as some kind of savior figure for the financial collapse, perhaps. We'll get into some of that. But hey, I wanted to go ahead and start off by saying that what you do there at SGT Report is so important. And I try to get my news from you as often as possible. I know that the censorship issue has been tough, and it's been hitting all of us in terms of monetizing the content we create. But yeah, man, I just wanted to say thank you for all you do. And let's get into it. The first story I wanted to touch on is actually, this is an older story, but I think it sets the stage because you probably remember this if you're a sports fan. This was republished on MSN.com recently for some reason. Kingsbury, I spied on Texas Tech players via social media. And it says here, Cardinals' new head coach Cliff Kingsbury made a lot of eyes roll when it was revealed this spring that he plans on giving his players regular cell phone breaks so they can check in with family and friends or scour their favorite social media sites. It's something he allowed back in the college days when he was a head coach at Texas Tech. And here's the thing. He would create these fake accounts as attractive young women and basically spy on his players. Have you heard about this?
That's really weird. I heard about the first part. I heard about him, or the second part, him willing to give his players breaks to check their phones, because everybody, not me, but my kids, unfortunately, a couple of them have these addictions to these cell phones, and everybody has addictions to social media. And I guess that made a little bit of sense to me, but at the same time, what I love about sports is the discipline of it. So it was a little strange to hear him give that leeway, because if you're going to make it to the pros, you're not going to get cell phone breaks from Bill Belichick, right? You're going to have to take your job pretty seriously. But I had not heard the second part, that this creepy dude was creating fake accounts, posing as attractive women to spy on his players. That's pretty despicable.
Yeah, and it says here, when asked if he thought his players at Texas Tech might have been aware of the spying, Kingsbury told the Hawk, which is the outlet here, quote, "I think they do, but they can't resist that. Friend requests from cute girls are an automatic follow." I mean, that's creepy. It's as creepy as it gets. And he makes light of it, and I think it works for him in terms of like in the locker room. Because it says here, quote, "Once a year, we'll capture the most absurd posts our team makes, and we make a big presentation and have a lot of fun with it." And so I get it. He's trying to be kind of this hip coach, but I don't know, man. It's just weird. I think it gives people an idea all around the country of doing some weird spying on perhaps people they coach and all that kind of stuff. Being a coach of young people at one point, I mean, that the thought of even doing that is weird. And so, this is the society that we're living in now.
Yeah, I hadn't read that article, so I guess I don't know the full scope of it. I guess if he's being public with his players, saying, "I'm going to give you guys cell phone breaks, once in a while, a couple times a day or whatever," but just beware. You may find a cute girl trying to reach out to you, and that may be me. If he's public about it, saying, so be very careful, that's actually a good way to teach these guys to be respectful online and don't get yourself into a quandary by, using bad language or being inappropriate. So I guess, to that extent, keeping his team, his players in line, that makes some sense.
It's, again, it's that weird place we're in now where, doing this and just explaining that, oh yeah, he spied on his players by pretending to be somebody else, is this weird and despicable thing. But in the context of what the world we live in now, it's like, yeah, okay, yeah, it's a good thing. It's probably good for those players to,
Yeah.
learn how
Well,
to
that
behave online and whatnot. So it's
yeah. Well, that's what got me is the language of spy. He spied on his players. Well, was he public about it? Was it a joke? Was it more like a warning? Was it a
Well,
friendly
see,
kind of reminder to behave appropriately online because you never know when you may be talking to me, right? I mean,
well,
if it's that's
that's
a whole different thing than the spying.
yeah, and I guess we'll never know because it is public now. But who knows if it was something where he was doing it out of a little bit more of a secretive thing, and then he made it public when people found out, like, oh yeah, I'm trying to use it for good or whatever. I mean, that probably happens with all kinds of things, not just sports coaches. But that's I just wanted to start there because it's a good indication of kind of the world we're living in.
Well, it's ubiquitous, man. I mean, we're all being spied on now. I mean, Google Chrome tracks you. The Google Chrome, they want to do away with their ad blocker. Google Big Brother. I mean, my gosh, take a look at the algorithms. If you want real news, you can't Google it. I mean, you can't ask, what do you want to look into in this world, guys? I don't know what you're interested in, but if you start to wake up to some of the false flags and other things going on, if you ask Google to tell you about, for instance, World Trade Center 7 on 9/11, it's not going to come up. I mean, what will come up is the official story.
It'll come
maybe
up, yeah.
versions of events, but not the stuff that used to come up, not the real news. They're filtering all that out, and they're letting us know they are because on January 22nd, YouTube specifically said we're changing our algorithms to filter out what we deem to be misinformation or disinformation or conspiracy. So that's the way they're headed.
Was that really on January 22nd?
It was on or around January 22nd. Some of the news reports that I cited on SGT Report were dated January 22nd, but it was right in that area, the 19th, the 21st, somewhere in there. It became official. YouTube was just giving everyone a heads up. And we'll talk about this later in the show, but my algorithms are clear. My data on my YouTube channel is clear. It's been off a cliff pretty much since that time. I mean, my new subscribers this year are down 90% compared to my new subscriber additions last year, where I was between 25 and 30,000 per month. Now I'm down to about 1,500 to 2,000 new subscribers per month. That's because YouTube isn't recommending my videos to new subscribers, Gons.
Yeah, we'll get into that too in the extended report because I've seen the same thing. I've seen charts. My charts go haywire and weird. And just it looks like a manipulated silver chart or something the way my subscriber count looks. But the other story that I wanted to touch on briefly before we get into the Libra coin is from VentureBeat, and this is relevant to everything we're discussing here. New Zoo US will overtake China as number one gaming market in 2019. For the first time since 2015, the US is the top gaming market in the world. So says market research firm New Zoo in its 2019 Global Games Report, which it published today. It will be the first time since 2015 that the U.S. has been the number one country. And this forecast isn't just because of the 2018 freeze on gaming licenses in China, and it's because of PlayStation and Xbox. Quote, it's a combination of both new console users and, in general, massive growth in console spending boosting the U.S. market. About 50% of the U.S.'s game revenue comes from the console. And then additionally, the Chinese licensing freeze impacting the domestic market indeed. And here some of the highlights from the report. 2019 will see the global game market hit revenues of $152 billion, which is an increase of 9.6% from 2018. 45% of this will come from mobile, which is the largest segment in the gaming section. The U.S. will be number one in gaming with $36.9 billion in 2019, and this will be, again, the first time China hasn't been at the top of the market. And the Asia-Pacific region, not just a specific country, but the region remains the top area with $72.2 billion. That's quite a bit of money, and, the gaming is becoming... I made a video this week, and I'm publishing the rest of the series later. We are being gamified, and this idea that everybody, I talk about the unemployment, or we do in general, about this fear of unemployment with the rise of AI and machines. And yes, that is going to be a problem. But as I mentioned in the video, anytime there was acceleration within the industrial, or since the Industrial Revolution, and jobs were lost, it also created these new jobs. But I think this time around, with the fourth Industrial Revolution, they're really going to have these massive layoffs, and the people that are sitting around they are going to be playing games on computers or gambling on these on the internet, basically, to make their living. And this is, we've seen the dystopian depictions on various TV shows and movies and video games and all that kind of stuff already. But I think that's where we're headed. And so I'm not surprised. $152 billion worldwide market for video games. I think that's going to hit $1 trillion, in the next, I don't know, maybe 5 years, 10 years, maybe. It's going to be a huge part of everybody's day-to-day living is just playing games, which goes to show how bizarre this world is right now.
Yeah, I'm a little slow on the uptake sometimes, Gons. We've never done this show together before. So when you sent me that document, you said you sent me a document via Gmail here, and I opened it, but I didn't have time to read it prior to going. And so as you were telling me about this, it was really resonating with me because we're battling a Fortnite addiction here at our house with our 12-year-old. And I was just going to joke. I'm like, this stuff is resonating with me. It's fun how we can banter and talk about these things because I wasn't aware of what your topics were going to be prior to our call. But now I'm looking at this document. I see you have it here. U.S. dominates China in gaming. Yeah, the gaming industry worldwide right now, I think, is far bigger than Hollywood. It's dwarfing, the movie industry. It's probably more profitable by many levels than the movie industry too.
Yeah.
I have to believe. But it's funny how, and nothing against PewDiePie, but it's funny how they have sort of, and I guess my point is that some of the biggest YouTube channels are these gaming channels where literally kids will sit around and watch their favorite gamers game, and these guys make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, sometimes
if not millions.
Yeah. And that's how PewDiePie got popular. When I first discovered PewDiePie, I'm like, how in the world is this the biggest YouTube channel on earth? The guy just sits around and plays games and comments on them, and he's sort of funny, but it's really like, I didn't get it.
Right.
And he's moved away from that. But no, I mean, it's these kids have been indoctrinated into, and the quality of the gaming is now so high that, who wouldn't get sucked into it? I mean, I used to, back in the day when I worked at Target, I was an executive at Target in the creative department, and had some buddies that at night when we had time, we'd all get on in game. We'd play Quake or Battlefield,
Quake.
in real time. I loved it. It was great. We played Capture the Flag. We're grown men. It was ridiculous, right? Yeah. But we were into that for a couple of years. So I completely understand the addictive nature of the games. But it's very dangerous. It's a very slippery slope as technology is now moving ahead at light speed. Virtual reality is the next stop, and then these people are absolutely going to be ensnared. They're not going to be able to break the addictions.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Is it's this addictive quality to it, but once it becomes tied to just making money, and we're seeing these YouTubers make money now, but I'm talking about entire cities waking up, getting on their VR, getting into the game, and trying to earn some money so they can pay off their rent.
That's right.
That's the world I'm talking about. That is quite frightening when you talk about, that's why they want the smart cities. They want all the physical amenities taken care of, or at least minimal, get these people to live in these little cubicles, basically, and as long as they can access the virtual world, the internet and everything within it, they'll be able to sustain their physical needs and enjoy themselves at the very, enjoy themselves. I say that with air quotes. You can't see that, me doing that, but within that virtual realm, or at least labor. And that's been another theme that video, or at least anime, has touched on, is this notion of being trapped within the game, where if you die in the game, you die in real life. That sort of technology is definitely around the corner. But then you connect that to this whole notion of a whole a virtual economy, and we're talking about really this again, a very bizarre world where the things happening in hard drives are going to determine life or death.
Yeah, and what I was driving at as it relates to, you mentioned people want to get online, they want to earn money in the game. See, now that's a very different thing than PewDiePie when he was the world's biggest gamer on YouTube, making $12 million a year. I think more than $1 million a month. He now earns far north of that, but he's moved away from the gaming in every video. But these people that are addicted to games, they'll get on the game to earn tokens or money within the game that can only be spent in the game to upgrade armor or things of that nature.
Right.
It's lunacy. It's feeding into the addiction. The loop between earning the tokens in a game and purchasing and upgrading your character in the game is so addictive that, I mean, we've seen people in these internet cafes in all over the world drop dead after 3 or 4 or 5 days of gaming because they will do it without eating or taking a break and not drinking enough liquids, and they'll literally die at the gaming console.
Oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. Yeah, no, that's and that sort of issue, it's going to spark innovations that are going to basically lead us to a Wall-E world where we have this chair that we sit in, and our bones are going to start deteriorating because people are going to be just fixated on that. But
well, and think of this, Gons. I mean, this is all as addictive as it is now, and this is prior to really being immersive VI. I mean, virtual reality VR. It's not immersive VR right now. People are just sitting in front of LED screens,
right?
And they're this addicted.
Yeah.
Imagine when it goes to the next step.
Yeah, and that's the danger, and that's that's kind of where we're trying to warn people. Even though we kind of joke about these things, I think the humor aspect of it is kind of a way to deal with the absurdity or the level of ridiculousness that we're starting to see here. But you mentioned how some of the virtual currencies, stuff that they earn that only applies within the game. Well, this is changing. This is going to change dramatically, and we're at the precipice of that change with Facebook and their Libra token or Libra project or whatever, their global coin. And if you're not familiar, I mean, everyone has been talking about it this week. We have a PC Mag article here that as far as this recording is the most recent sort of major outlet talking about this, and we'll touch on this. So here we go. Facebook's Libra cryptocurrency, your biggest questions answered. Facebook this week finally announced this long-awaited cryptocurrency, and it's a doozy. The company announced its new Libra crypto asset launching in 2020. The Libra blockchain, it'll run on an independent Libra association with high-profile founding members to govern it, and a new subsidiary called Calibra that'll release a Libra wallet and other financial products to serve the Libra ecosystem. Folks, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely madness that we have Zuck bucks now.
Well, let me jump in and frame it
Sure.
up for folks too. People need to understand. All right, this is from the Wall Street Journal. Facebook's new cryptocurrency Libra gets big backers. Now get this: Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, and Uber are among firms that will invest around $10 million.
Sorry, go ahead.
No worries. $10 million each in a consortium that will govern the digital coin. I've got this tweet in response to this from CoinDesk. CoinDesk said basically what you just did. Facebook has reportedly lined up Uber, PayPal, Visa, and others to invest $10 million each in the consortium. And this response from Sarah Jamie Lewis on Twitter. She says, "Can't wait for a cryptocurrency with the ethics of Uber, the censorship resistance of PayPal, and the centralization of Visa, all tied together under the proven privacy of Facebook."
Oh my gosh.
She's spot on. I mean, it's Luna. This is a ridiculous project, originally known as the Global Digital Coin or Global Coin. Now they're calling it Libra, and we should probably dig into that. Why are they calling it Libra? But Zuckerberg to the rescue with a cryptocurrency that couldn't be more centralized.
And you mentioned the $10 million that people have to put down to run a node on this network.
Right.
And you before we started recording, you asked the question how much it costs to run or start a Bitcoin node. And I found this article on CoinDesk from 2015, March 25th. And the title is First Plugin Node Aims to Boost Bitcoin's Network Security. And this was a BitC, the first plugin Bitcoin node to encourage users to contribute to the Bitcoin network hassle-free. It's $150 to run the node. And I mean, that's, very early on. 2015 is, at least, I guess the price of Bitcoin was in the hundreds by then, but still fairly early, 5 or 6 years into it, and $150 to run a node. But, to run the Facebook Libra network, $10 million to run a node.
Just to clarify, and I'm not sure about this, but that figure you cite, the 150, that might be the energy cost, the electricity cost per month. I'm not sure what it costs to buy the node. It could have been far more than 150 for Bitcoin, but it certainly wasn't $10 million. And the point here is that Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, and Uber are among the firms that have agreed to invest $10 million each to buy a full node. And so what people need to understand is that a full node fully validates transactions and blocks.
Right.
It helps the network to accept transactions and blocks from other full nodes. as well as validate transactions in blocks and relay them to other nodes. So the problem here is, again, I would think that if they don't like your politics, I mean, I don't know for sure who does, but this is very much centralized. I undoubtedly will not be private in any way, shape, or form, and they will track and trace every transaction you make using Libra.
I mean, I think the frightening line that I've heard this week is Facebook as a bank. That should terrify everybody that Facebook is getting into the banking business. Right. And here's the deal. We talked about gaming kind of leading into this. They're going to have an entire ecosystem of games and gambling, probably gambling, and everything, all and commerce within, independent people like us. We can technically set up shop within the Libra, network, or at least, accept Libra tokens for payment. And that's going to create this weird place where I think a lot of people aren't going to, I don't know. Hopefully people aren't going to participate too much, or at least see through this. But I'm worried that once this thing is fully in gear, they're all just going to buy in, and boom, here we go. We have this Libra token that swallows up a lot of the US dollars. And, it's kind of a give and take, because sure, it introduces people to the whole crypto world, but at the same time, it's like, it's a different kind of fiat is what it is. It looks kind of like the technology for Bitcoin, but, and it uses the similar technologies, but it doesn't use it in the way that is at least an open distributed system where anybody can help maintain the network. And I think I also heard that the VCs, or the people that are the companies that are involved, they have their own token, not the Libra token available to everybody else, or the global coin or whatever. I'm sure I'm getting the labeling wrong here, but they have their own sort of token that they use within themselves as I don't know, some kind of means of incentive or to maybe stake on the network. So this is an abuse of the technology. I mean, I can't really think of any other way to put it, is that taking this really unique technology of distributed ledgers and blockchain technology, which has its good and bad, and really just exemplifying the horrors and the potential, totalitarian use of it. I'm kind of lost for words at this point, because it's so obvious to me. But I don't know, maybe people on Facebook just are going to just go with it,
Yeah, people, there are a lot of sheeple out there that won't question it and maybe don't know anything about cryptos, and will just dive in head first into the shallow end of the pool. I mean, it's the wrong decision to take part in Libra coin if you don't know anything about cryptos and what they were designed to do, which was to be decentralized and private, and to usurp SWIFT and the Federal Reserve banking system and all the criminality associated with it. And so, we have this article from Zero Hedge. Facebook is positioning for what comes next, the complete collapse of confidence in fiat money. So you mentioned that the collapse of the economy, the collapse of the dollar. This is Bill Blaine saying that you can't be serious. He says, given everything we know about Facebook, would you let them run money? It ain't ever going to happen if the regulators get a say. He says, I suspect Facebook is taking a position for a possible next stage of this ongoing financial meltdown, the complete collapse of confidence in government fiat money. And it just begs the question, are people going to pay attention? Because I just heard a report in a podcast the other day that predicted that all of the FANGs, Amazon, what would that be? FANGs, Amazon, Google, Netflix, they're all going to have cryptocurrencies of their own. Apple within the next 2 years. That's the prediction. This is not the this isn't an isolated incident. Facebook is just the first.
They're using Mark Zuckerberg as the test subject for this new centralized, quote unquote, decentralized system. Yeah, it says here on back to the PC Mag article here that the SEC and CFTC and regulatory agencies worldwide will likely have a lot to say about the Libra, or about what Libra can and can't do leading up to its public launch in 2020. The House Financial Services Committee has already called a hearing and requested that Facebook pause development on Libra, quote, until Congress and regulators have the opportunity to examine these issues and take action. And, a lot of times, because we know who is behind Facebook, the CIA and all the, government agencies, this is really just like a way to have an excuse to lock down or try to lock down and create these really restrictive laws surrounding just the whole, kind of Wild West right now of the cryptocurrency market. What do you think there? Do you think that this is a positive thing that they're trying to at least regulate Libra coin?
Yes, but I don't have any faith in the regulators. I mean, look no further than the regulators that oversee vaccines or the regulators that oversee anything that's dangerous for we the people. I mean, there are no tests done on vaccines by the big pharma companies, and people think there are. And then people think, well, the FDA must do them. No, the FDA, which is a revolving door with big pharma, says, big pharma, you do the tests. And big pharma says, shows evidence that they've done some sort of test when they clearly haven't. In fact, only what is it? It's only, hold on, let me think about this. I think it's 1 in 36 vaccines has been tested for safety, and only 2 in 36 ingredients in those vaccines were tested by Big Pharma. So that's my point here, is I don't have very much trust in the regulators. And if anybody wants to get into the cryptocurrency space and you want something decentralized with the hope of actually getting a return on your money, I'd say stick with the big 2 or 3, Bitcoin, Litecoin, maybe Ethereum, but certainly not Libra coin.
Yeah, I'm really not looking forward to the day I see a Libra coin on the ticker of the crypto market there, gobbling up billions just because people don't get it. Understanding what crypto and at least Bitcoin is supposed to do with, if I wanted to send you Bitcoin and you're in some random country, I could still do it. It'll cost a little bit of money. It'll cost a little bit to, pay the miners and everything. But other than that, I can get the money to you. And that's kind of the beauty.
But let me be clear about this. This is really important. There was just an article the other day. Some whale moved $400 million in Bitcoin from one wallet to another. And the total associated cost was less than $5 in Bitcoin. Now, if you tried to run that same money through Swift, I can't even begin to imagine what that wire would cost you. Yeah. I know the minimum on a wire, if you needed to wire $1,500 or $10,000 to somebody for a down payment on a car, I think the minimum Swift transfer fee for a wire is $25, and you got to go to your local bank, and it takes 2 days. No, this is revolutionary to the degree that you can go outside of the traditional criminal banking system to move money from one person to another or one country to another.
Now listen to this. Quote, Facebook is touting Libra as a decentralized solution to remittances and cross-border payments in developing countries and an alternative to options like Western Union, which can include exorbitant fees. Wow, sounds like pretty much what we already have, functioning very well to do that, which we don't need Libra coin to do, any of this stuff.
Right. And by the way, the decentralized point, I listen to a lot of podcasts now on YouTube about cryptos. And I'm not going to try to give you guys the details on this because, sort of, we didn't go in one ear and out the other. The details were too, I don't have it in front of me. And the details were too well pointed out and documented for me to tell you. But they say it's decentralized. But if you read the white paper for Libra coin, there are all sorts of caveats. Like once the transaction has reached a certain threshold, then we share the data with our other partners, and we share the data with Facebook. I mean, there's all of these. You got to read the white paper because it's the furthest thing from decentralized and private.
It's only decentralized in that they are distributed nodes. That's like about as decentralized as it is. The rest of it is, they're all just maintaining the centralized network. It's almost like a backup. We're going to get into some more of this stuff in the extended report. But before we do, I want to play for you a clip of, this is a deep fake of Mark Zuckerberg. The visuals are far more compelling than the audio, but here's Zuckerberg in deep fake mode.
One man with total control of billions of people's stolen data, all their secrets, their lives, their futures. I owe it all to Spectre. Spectre showed me that whoever controls the data controls the future.
So there you go. That's Mark Zuckerberg's deep fake. And you were saying it doesn't really sound like him.
Yeah, we joked on that. You played that for me before we started recording, and I said, it must work better when you can see the deep fake of him visually, because if you just listen to the voice, that doesn't sound like him at all to me. And here's the real Mark Zuckerberg. If you guys haven't heard this, just go on YouTube and search for "Smoke These Meats." This is one of the most awkward men in the world. Listen to this.
Hey, everyone. We are live from my backyard where I am smoking a brisket and some ribs. I'm making meats now. Smoking these meats here. Our little meat smoking. It's smoking. So I'm the meat chef. Yeah, someone asked me, do I smoke meat? Smoking these meats, smoking meats earlier in the day.
I'll pause it there. I mean, this is obviously a cut up clip of a 35-minute, 40-minute live Facebook thing that he did, a live stream. And he's got a couple of friends there behind him at some point, and those guys look puzzled and they look a little embarrassed for how awkward this guy is. But I suppose, man, at the end of the day, if you were sort of awkward and kind of a tech nerd to begin with, and I'm not sure, I mean, who really created Facebook, to your point? How brilliant is this guy? I'm not really sure. But if you were a billionaire at a young age and now you're worth tens of billions of dollars and you're this young and you're just sort of kind of, we're always weird, you're not going to be any less weird with the 10 or 20 or 40 or $100 billion in the bank that he's got.
Yeah.
You're going to be more weird because of that money, because you're always going to wonder, who are my real friends? And do I have, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's the most awkward person, I think, really, that I've ever seen, certainly in Silicon Valley. And that says a lot.
Even within the weirdos, he's extra weird.
Well, yeah, because I don't even buy Elon Musk's nonsense anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're starting to see some real chinks in Elon Musk's armor.
For sure. Okay, so we're going to get going here to the extended report. Thank you guys for tuning into this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Sean, thank you for co-hosting. Where can people find your work?
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks for having me. sgtreport.com is the website, and you can search for me on YouTube and Twitter as SGT Report. So thanks a lot.
Cool. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Until then, think outside the cage.